Russia has become the first country to give regulatory approval to a COVID-19 vaccine and will begin a mass immunisation programme in October. President Vladimir Putin has made no secret of Russia's ambition to be the first to win the global vaccine race. Well, here he is speaking about the news today.
As far as I know, this morning, for the first time in the world, a vaccine against the novel coronavirus infection was registered. I know this very well because one of my daughters has been vaccinated with such a vaccine. One might say she took part in the experiment. After the first injection, she had a temperature of 38 degrees. The next day, a little over 37 degrees. And that's it.
Well, the vaccine is called Sputnik and will be mass-produced from next month. Russia has called it humankind's victory over COVID-19, but the speed of its development is being questioned. These clinical trials started on June the 1st after teams in the US, China and Europe. Phase 3 of the trial hasn't been completed yet, a larger study usually involving thousands of people. Experts tell us that part of the trial is essential in proving whether the vaccine is safe to use and whether it works. Last week, the World Health Organization urged Russia to slow down, and it sent a message to ensure that it sticks to international guidelines, something the WHO reminded Moscow of again today.
Really, I can just say that we are in a close contact with the Russian health authorities, and discussions are ongoing with respect to possible WHO pre-qualification of the vaccine. But again, pre-qualification of any vaccine includes the rigorous review and assessment of all required safety and efficacy data.
However, Russia hasn't released any safety or immunity data of its trial, and there are concerns that Moscow might be cutting corners. There is real pressure for Russia to deliver, as this infectious disease expert from Denmark explains.
I think it's a matter of prestige. This is simply showing that they have the capability, and they are perhaps in front of the Western countries. There's a competition between Russia and the Western countries going on at the moment in different fields. So this is purely political. And maybe the vaccine will be fine. Maybe it is immunogenic. It has few side effects. But without a phase 3 trial, Russia cannot supply vaccine to the Western countries.
So that's the situation in Russia. Now, here on Outside Source, we talk a lot about New Zealand's successes in eliminating COVID-19. However, in the past 24 hours, it's recorded its first locally transmitted infections in more than 100 days. 4 cases have been detected in a single family in New Zealand's biggest city, Auckland. The source isn't known, and we're told that none of the family members had travelled outside the country. Well, here's the Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern earlier.
In line with our precautionary approach, we will be asking Aucklanders to take swift action with us. As of 12 noon tomorrow, Wednesday, August 12th, we will be moving Auckland to level 3 restrictions for a period of 3 days until midnight on Friday.
Now, Jacinda Ardern also called for calm, and she urged people not to panic buy. However, well, that was ignored. This footage was taken within hours of the announcement, people rushing to supermarkets. Police had to be called in after people forced their way in. Now, New Zealand has been praised worldwide for its virus strategy. This was in March during lockdown. New Zealand's restrictions were among the strictest worldwide. 5 months on, and the borders remain shut to foreigners. Well, let's speak to Emily Cooper, who is a journalist for BBC World Service. So what can New Zealanders expect with these renewed restrictions? We saw, of course, the panic buying there, but what can they expect when they wake up?
Well, as you mentioned, Auckland is New Zealand's largest and most populous city. So essentially 1.5 million people are being put back into lockdown under stage 3 restrictions for 3 days from midday tomorrow local time. That means people will have to stay at home, non-essential workers will have to stay at home, schools will close, most non-essential businesses will shut, as well as venues like museums and libraries. The rest of the country, however, will move into level 2 restrictions, which basically means everyone needs to social distance like most countries are doing now. But that, of course, is going to be a bit of a shock for New Zealand. They've been enjoying pretty much a relative normality. Domestic travel has resumed. Pubs, restaurants, clubs and music venues have reopened since their original lockdown ended at the start of June.
And they've been enjoying that because essentially they've been pretty successful in their strategy. Talk us through what's been positive. How have they been going about it?
Well, in terms of the government's strategy, I think that the general feeling in New Zealand is that the government has handled the whole pandemic pretty well. So I don't think there'll be that many questions around another lockdown, while it is frustrating. And of course, Jacinda Ardern's government has been praised globally for its handling of the pandemic. The government, as you mentioned, aimed for a complete eradication of the virus, and it appeared that it had done that by locking down quickly and enforcing a strict lockdown early. And hopefully the country will get to see that again.
Yes, let's hope so. Emily, as always, thank you so much. Emily Cooper there from the BBC World Service. Thank you.